deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. We live in a time of deceit. That deceit is the deceit of gender identity. It is the lie that a man can become a woman by just saying the word. But the word woman is taken. It means something. And that thing is not lipstick. It's not dresses. It's not long hair. It's not a nice little feeling. It's not having a female name.
No.
And it's not something that the state bestows on us. And it's not something they can take away. There is only one thing that all women have in common. We have female bodies. We are born female and we will die female. Most of us menstruate and worry about pregnancy. Many of us will become mothers. We are not men. And because of that, we are vulnerable to sexual violence. And we are vulnerable to sex discrimination. And the state needs to protect us and recognize that men and women have different needs. The German Self-Determination Act now says that what sex means is an identity. Their law allows anyone to change the sex that is recorded on their birth record. And by doing that, it turns every law and policy that was set up to protect women against us. Reem Al-Salem, the UN Special Rapporteur on violence against women and girls, wrote to the German government. And she said, the act appears to fail to take into consideration the specific needs of women and girls, particularly those at risk of male violence and those who have experienced male violence. I think that's all of us.
Yeah!
And she wrote to them and she said this law endangers single-sex spaces. It undermines data collection about women and girls and about boys and men, and it will harm children by encouraging them to think that they can change sex. And she wrote that it will harm freedom of belief and freedom of speech. And the German government wrote back and they said, I'm paraphrasing, don't worry dear. They said, this law does not make any changes to existing legislation, such as the General Act on Equal Treatment, and therefore has no legal implications for access to single-sex spaces. Where have we heard that before? The Scottish Government. And yet, in 3 weeks' time, the Scottish Government is going to be in the Supreme Court arguing that the GRA changes the Equality Act and takes away our right to protection from sex discrimination based on our sex. My organisation, Sex Matters, will be there supporting For Women Scotland, arguing against this. That if the law is to protect women's rights as it was designed to do, as it was intended to do, then sex must mean sex.
Yes.
The German government's response to Reem's letter shows what happens when you let a lie in. It turns everything inside out and back to front.
Yep.
They said the reality is that there is violence perpetrated against women by cis men. Cis men. Other men, as soon as you say the word, they're no risk. And it said that if a man changes his name and maybe wears women's clothes and then claims to be a woman, that this is somehow eliminating harmful gender stereotypes. This is madness. That's where the lie takes us. It takes us to black is white and up is down. So, in a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Keep telling the truth.